Now, is it unfair that I'm releasing Molrusso review first before the other two? Yes. Is it unfair that I will only release Molrusso EX review out of all of Dragon Quest III character? Yes, because I do not have the sanity to go over 5 different times having to explain why each character is mediocre, with the exception of one. So therefore, the other 5 will get a different treatment. But do not worry, the other 5 will get something, while Molrusso will get the normal review treatment, because if I have to go over 5 different times having to explain why each character is mediocre in detail, my sanity is probably going to die, so therefore I apologize. Molrusso EX, the only good character out of this entire Dragon Quest III collab, is a dancer, and she is mostly a buffer. Although I would say though, compared to the last time we saw her, the outfit she is wearing right now is very, very extreme. I don't think this is extreme as seeing Signa wearing a battle armor next month, but this is still in the gap is too big, so. Molrusso EX is a buffer revolving around one of her main passive, which grant Jess and let her activate her skill. So for the skill that you want to put onto your skill slot, all 3 will matter because just her passive will trigger all skill slots from 1 to 3. Do note that it won't trigger the 4th slot, so even if you have A2, the 4th slot will be unaffected. Now, as for her best skill to use normally and also to be recast by Jest, first you have the normal dragon, the green dragon whistle. 3-hit AoE, 5-hit at max boost. When cast this by Jess, it's just a normal 3-hit. She also has like a bunch of various other summon. You can adjust this one based on what the enemy weakness is to. But overall, I think the green dragon is the best default attack for her. Sweet Talk is really good because it's an old gauge charge recovery buffer, which is kinda sucks when you do it manually because you have R1 who do it passively. However, it is nice when you use it and you can help that character get enough to be 200%. And also, if this skill is really triggered by Jest, you will also get the damage cap up, which is extremely nice. You always want more damage cap, so you always deal more damage, and 50,000 is a lot. Final Frolic is a buffer. It's a default 15% attack and magic up to the 5 turns. If re-triggered by chest, then this will also grant 15% damage up. She can function as a buffer with this skill. If you already have other source buffer, this skill is replaceable. Overall, skill 1 and 3 is replaceable. Skill 1 with another damaging type move, and skill 3 with another buffing skill. But skill 2, which is Sweet Talk, you always want to have in your skill slot all the time. And as for EX skill, it's just a default 8-hit AoE fan. It has no effect from re-trigger or whatever because it's an EX skill. I will say though, because of how Molrusso EX is played, which I will explain later, the skill being active, the condition to be used on turn 3 is really useful because on turn 3 is when Molrusso will go, and if the enemy is weak to fan, you can do an 8-hit AoE fan, so the skill can be useful if the enemy is weak to fan. Now for her passive and her main mechanic she's revolving around, just Pet Rally, the basic passive, you gain 1 chest at the end of turn, stack up to 3. And when you use a skill, okay, you consume all chests, and for every chest you consume, you will re-trigger 1 skill from skill slot 1 to 3. You can't trigger it twice, so if you have 3 chests, it will trigger all 3 slots. The auto trigger is random. And this basic passive works really well with the other passive that she has. First is just well, the passive, which when using 3 boost point you gain 1 chest, or boost max you gain 1. And then you have the main effect, the main reason why you want to use 3 chests at 1, you will give the front row buff based on the amount of chests you spent, and at 3, you grant them all the weakness exploit buff. Now, compared to Dark Priestess, this weakness exploit buff is way better because 1, it's not tied to an ultimate, so you can trigger this again in like 3 turns if you want. And 2, it let you exploit all attack. Dark Priestess has a problem where sometimes if the enemy has no elemental weakness, her weakness bypass does nothing. However, because Molrusso let you exploit everything, it will work in every single scenario. And because of this effect, you always want to have 3 chests when you go with Molrusso. And how to spend all 3 chests at 1 with Molrusso is that turn 1 and turn 2, Molrusso wait in the back row for her to gain a chest stack. Turn 3, you can boost max whatever skill you want to use, and then she will gain the 1 chest, so 2 plus 1 is 3, and then all 3 chests will trigger all of the main skill that she has on her skill slot 1 to 3, and also grant everyone the weakness exploit buff. And as a bonus, in JP where they introduced Torch Point level 2, Molrusso get 3 playful stack at the start of battle, so you can do this turn 1 immediately. So she has very strong future value, she will get even better in the future, and she still has not been power creep in JP yet. For her last passive, she gained buff based on the amount of jest that she's holding. At 1, she gained max speed, which is like 1000 plus speed at this rate, and 2, she get the ability to hit fan. So if the enemy is weak to fan, then she will always gonna hit the enemy weakness. And finally, her ultimate Aegon is Sullen ult. It's similar to other character Sullen ult like Rinyu and Sullen himself. This one has one difference though, is that it also grants full turn of Soul Sigil, which is a mechanic that some other Dragon Quest character would want and use and benefit off of it. But for most other character, it's just a 10% damage attack and magic up. So just think of it as a nice stat bonus, but most of the time the buff, the Soul Sigil, isn't that needed and it's not as impactful. Now, because this is a Sullen ult, you want to preferably have the Awakening ultimate for this. And for Molrusso, if you get her, like, either getting her from the banner or getting her free from the temple, she's fine without it. She's fine with just having 1 Sullen ult. But it would be nice to have 2, so the decision is up to you. Now for review, Molrusso get 9 out of 10. Now, I will say, she is not 10 out of 10 must have, okay? Despite the fact that you probably see that she is literally everywhere in almost every team, she is extremely good, she can go onto any team, and she is still meta in JP, okay? I don't think she's good enough to the point where you must absolutely get her. Now for the reason why. First of all, she is a weakness exploit character, which is really, really good. It's basically the improved version of weakness implant, and any character can hit anything. And her is even better than Dark Priestess, because her can also exploit physical too. It's the one reason why the weakness exploit, in terms of like the weakness exploit job that Molrusso and Dark Priestess does, Molrusso tend to be better. And also, Molrusso has a Sullen ult, which compared to the other utility that Dark Priestess offer, which is reviving, auto-revive, and debuffing, Sullen ult has so much more impact. And I hate to say this, but Molrusso EX has more synergy with Dark Knight than Dark Priestess herself. So that's one reason why you want Molrusso EX, because she is a weakness bypasser with a Sullen ult. And that's all Molrusso is. She is a 2-in-1 character. You can have 2 characters do like Dark Priestess and Rinyu EX, one do weakness bypass, the other one do Sullen ult, and it's still gonna work fine. You're just gonna use another team slot space though. And another thing is that Molrusso EX is not a must-have in all team. The only situation where I consider like rating her 10 out of 10 is that the DPS you are using on your team lack weakness bypass and lack a passive potency up. When those 2 conditions are met, I do think that Molrusso EX will be a 10 out of 10, but not all the time those 2 conditions will be met. What I mean by that is that if it's someone like Pardis or Kaine who both has a passive potency up, they don't need Sullen ult, they just need weakness bypass. Therefore, Dark Priestess will work fine there. That's totally fine. And it can also work for the other situation where the character already can exploit all the weakness, but they lack potency up. In that case, you can just bring someone like Rinyu EX, and they work fine. But sometime, there will be character where they will want both weakness exploit and also potency up. And an obvious character like that right now would be Dark Knight. In the future, there will be more characters that also be like that, and there will also be more characters that also have one of the others. For example, Witcher EX already has weakness exploit for all his weapon and also potency up, so therefore he doesn't really need Molrusso EX. And that is why you don't need Molrusso EX, despite she is extremely meta, despite she will be used in a lot of team. If your main DPS has either one of the 2, either weakness bypass or a self 100% potency up, then someone normal like Rinyu EX who has Sullen ult, or Dark Priestess who has weakness bypass will work fine, okay? One last thing though, if you don't have Dark Priestess and you don't plan to pull a Dark Priestess in the future, I do suggest getting Molrusso EX because weakness exploit is really good. Omni weakness exploit is extremely good. So you want to have at least one character who can do that on your account. So You don't have Dark Priestess, you should get Molrusso then.